Sometimes, justice comes wrapped in minty freshness. And sometimes, it chews back. Gum isn't permitted per our community ethics policy. The voice cut through the crisp morning air like an ice pick to the ear. I glanced up from my coffee mug to see Meredith Blake, the HOA president and self-proclaimed child conduct czar, towering over my 11-year-old son at the bus stop. There she stood, clad in khaki slacks, a neon orange safety vest, and wielding a clipboard like it was a royal decree. My son, Owen, blinked up at her in confusion, chewing slowly. "It's just mint," he said, genuinely puzzled. From my kitchen window across the street, I watched her whip out a notebook titled, Youth Violations Log, and begin scribbling. That was the final straw. I set my coffee down and strode toward her with calm, deliberate steps, flipping open my badge. "Ma'am," I said evenly, "you've crossed from community oversight into harassment of a minor. Step away from my son." The stunned expression on her face was a masterpiece. Let me rewind. I'm Mark Callahan, a 38-year-old detective with the Oak Ridge Police Department and a single father to Owen. We moved into Cedar Hollow 2 years ago for the excellent schools and backyard space, not for the HOA's literary-length newsletters. The first red flag, a 160-page welcome guide titled, Harmony Through Regulation. But Owen needed stability after the divorce, so I overlooked it. That was before I met Meredith Blake. Mid-50s, iron-stiff hair, and the intensity of a general dishonorably discharged for micromanagement. 6 years as HOA president unopposed, mainly because no one wanted to match her zeal. She created the title, Child Behavioral Officer, and inserted it into the bylaws solo, during a quorum of 1. Her campaign started with notes on doors, avoid running near ornamental grass, and noise past 4 p.m. disrupts serenity. Her obsession, though, was chewing gum. She penned a dozen newsletter pieces on it, including her magnus opus, The Gum Epidemic, Bubble by Bubble Toward Chaos. Most residents ignored her until she initiated morning patrols, treating the bus stop like a boot camp. She'd examine kids like TSA at rush hour. The first incident with Owen, a sticky note on his backpack, dispose of unauthorized materials pre-boarding. He thought she meant his comic books. Eventually, she started demanding oral inspections. Most kids switched bus stops. Not Owen. Ours was the closest, and I wasn't letting a clipboard tyrant dictate our morning. That morning was typical. Owen brushed his teeth, popped in gum, and waited by the curb. I was sipping coffee when I heard Meredith ambush him from the bushes beside the walkers, hydrangeas. She was in full meltdown by the time I reached the window. "Violation of Guideline 38.2 subsection A," she roared. "Chewing gum near communal transit zones is a public health hazard." Owen, embarrassed, muttered, "It helps me focus." Focus. Real focus comes from rule following. Not rubbery spit trash, she screeched, before grabbing his shoulder. That did it. I crossed the street, flashing my badge. "Excuse me, what are you doing?" She didn't flinch. "I'm enforcing the Cedar Hollow Code of Conduct." He violated communal expectations. Detective Mark Callahan, Oak Ridge PD. "That's my son. You're on a city sidewalk. This isn't HOA property. You've made physical contact with a child. That's harassment. You have no authority here." "Actually," I said, pulling out my phone, "I have every authority when an adult assaults a minor. Show me a municipal law that prohibits chewing gum." She sputtered. "HOA bylaws apply to private property, not public sidewalks. And preventing kids from boarding a public school bus. That might be seen as obstructing access to education." She went pale. "I'm calling the board." "Perfect. And I'll file a formal report with the city and school district." "Kids, did anyone get that on video?" A boy nearby nodded, already texting. Meredith was speechless. "You can't scare me. I know my rights." "Not a threat," I replied calmly. "A legal reality. Back away, or this escalates." She stormed off. The bus arrived, and Owen hugged me quickly. "Thanks, Dad." Later that day, an email landed from the HOA demanding my appearance at an emergency session for my threatening behavior. I spent the evening gathering receipts, statements from the school about Meredith's behavior, city property maps, legal opinions, and the video, which was perfect. You could see her grab Owen, hear her gum meltdown, and witness her unhinged lecture. 3 days later, the HOA meeting was packed. Meredith sat proudly at the head table with 4 board members. Parents filled every seat. She opened with a monologue about community order and moral hygiene, painting herself as a lone crusader against oral decadence. Then it was my turn. I played the video. Silence. Gasps. Then, laughter. This clip has over 60,000 views, I said. Buyers are asking if Cedar Hollow is a neighborhood run by the toothpaste Taliban. Board member Harold, a retired CPA, turned to Meredith. Did you really grab that boy? I was preserving order. I laid out everything. The city documents, school complaints, legal analysis. Ms. Blake has no jurisdiction over public areas, nor the right to touch kids. Unless the HOA wants a lawsuit, action must be taken. Murmurs. Harold whispered with the others. Then, effective immediately, your authority over minors is revoked. The child behavioral officer title is eliminated. Future enforcement must go through a vote. Meredith stood so fast, her chair clattered. I've given everything to this community. Which is why we're not removing you entirely, another member added. But no more child confrontations. That sobered her. Money always did. One more thing, I added. I want a handwritten apology to Owen. She nodded stiffly. The video spread beyond our town. A meme of Meredith labeled, "Gum Cop," went viral. The HOA was bombarded with jokes. Ironically, buyers liked the drama, called it a sign of an involved community. Meredith delivered the apology, awkward and sour-faced. Owen accepted it, even offered her a piece of gum. She declined and disappeared indoors for weeks. New rules were established. No more unilateral actions, and HOA guidelines apply only to private spaces. Owen became a minor legend at school. He even sold rare gum flavors, careful to avoid HOA turf. A month later, I installed a bright red vintage gumball machine on our porch with a sign, "Neighborhood Complaint Line, 25 cents a chew." Each morning, kids lined up. The machine gleamed in the sun. Meredith's curtains twitched. 6 months later, the HOA election came. Meredith faced a challenger, a practical young mom named Leah. Her slogan, "Stick together, not stuck up." Meredith lost by a landslide, 4 votes, likely including her own. She packed up within a week. Owen and I watched her moving truck leave. "Dad, think she'll try banning gum in her new neighborhood?" I chuckled. "Probably. Let them learn the hard way." We sat quietly, chewing gum and watching the sun set over our peaceful, mint-friendly cul-de-sac. Last I heard, Meredith was fined $5,000 at her new HOA for filing a noise complaint against birds. Something about avian noise pollution and cardinal-based psychological warfare. Her jaw dropped in court. Honestly, it was wide enough to fit a whole pack of bubblegum.